Welcome to today's episode of Relationship and Life. We are continuing on our series on the 9 pillars of effective relationship. Yesterday, we began to speak about how we can mark our mind with these 9 principles, 9 pillars. The reason is because they are 9. It's easy to forget them. But we said if you, just as we have board mass to remind us on how to solve mathematical problems that are structured in a certain way, and we have something called Mr. Ninja D or Mr. D Ninja to help us remember the characteristics of living things. I gave a simple principle, a simple pictorial understanding on how we can solve problems when it comes to relationships, so we don't go too far knowing that this relationship is not going to lead me anywhere or not. And I said, when you look at a tree has 3 parts. It has a root, it has a trunk, and it has the fruits. And I said the root relationships, there are 3 out of the 9 principles. There are 3 of them that form the root relationship. And I said the root relationships are the purpose. What's the purpose of this relationship? And the questions you need to ask: what's the purpose of this relationship? What is the identity? What's the origin? The people involved. Do I know that their identity? Do I know their origin? And the last one, the rules and regulations, the values they subscribe to. That if you do not have the same purpose, if you're not clear on the purpose of the relationship, if you are not clear on the identity and the origin of those involved, if you are not clear or you don't agree with the rules, you don't share the same value, then there is no point going on in the relationship. And like I said, it's a quick scan. It's a quick scan. You just apply that very quickly, and you know this relationship is going to take me somewhere or not. Now, after you've gone through that and you've settled it, you can now go to the trunk. Now, what are the trunk pillars? What are the principles that form the trunk? I said there, the roots, there are 3. At the trunk, we have 4. We have the language, which is how we communicate. We have the roles, that's the position. My position, what's my position in this relationship? I'm going to get into this relationship. What is my position? What is the position of the person or the people I'm relating with? What is my responsibility based on my position? What are the demands on me? What is my responsibility? What's the responsibility of the other parties involved? And the last one, duration. So you have language, you have role, you have responsibility, and duration. What is the time commitment this relationship will take? Why? These are things you do that we see. The language you speak, everybody can see that. The role you take is clear to people. The responsibility you do is clear. And the duration, we have an idea of the time investment. Now, if you remember the story of Daniel in Babylon, Daniel was somebody who thrived under different regimes. Incidentally, they were all enemy regimes. He was under Nebuchadnezzar. Then after Nebuchadnezzar, he had the son Belshazzar. Then he had Darius. Then he had Cyrus and all that. But every king that came used Daniel and worked well with Daniel. Why? Daniel understood these things. Daniel understood his purpose, even though he was a captive taken from Jerusalem and brought into Israel and brought into Babylon. Daniel early understood his purpose. So he wasn't frustrated. He wasn't crying, "Oh God, get me out of this," and all that. He understood his purpose. He understood why he was there. He identified with them. He learned their language. He understood the rules, and he went. Now, after he learned the language, Daniel knew his role. There was a time they said, "Oh, here nobody must pray to any other king. Nobody must pray to any other in 30 days. Only God Almighty." Daniel knew that I am here. I'll identify with your culture. I identify with you, but it's not at the detriment of what I do with my God. So he understood his role. So because he understood his role, his responsibility to his God was not to be negotiated. So when they said that, he said, "Listen, I don't share that with you. I will talk to my God as I always do, and I don't care what you do." They came to pick Daniel. They got him to say, "Oh, we have said you should not pray to any other God. You are praying to this." Daniel wasn't even bothered. They threw him to Lansdale. But because he knew his God, he knew the power of his God, he knew the purpose, God delivered him. And Daniel knew. Like, remember the story of Daniel again. If we begin to read from chapter 9, the Bible says Daniel understood by books that Israel had so number of years, about 70 years, to be in this place. And when the time began to come up, Daniel began to prepare for the ultimates of Israel's return to their promised land. So because of what Daniel knew, and you see, you can see this in the life of Daniel, because of the things he knew, not just did he know them, because he practiced them, Daniel thrived irrespective of who he was relating with. Whether he was relating with the Babylonian king, whether he was relating with the Persian king or whoever, Daniel always thrived. When you know these things and you apply them, you thrive. We'll take a break now and we're back after the break. Please don't go away.
Experience God's life, light, and love as you join our church family this Sunday at the Helpers House. Venue, Koti Event Center, 171 Bagada Oworonshoki Expressway, beside EcoBank, opposite UPS, First Federal Bus Stop, Bagada, Lagos. Time, 9:30 a.m.
The decision on whom to marry is perhaps one of the most important decisions that you can make in life. Unlike any other decision you make in life, the decision on whom to marry has a far-reaching direct impact on your life. Sadly and unfortunately, most people fail to prepare adequately for this all too important life decision. In this book, Before You Say I Do, by Adeniyi Adekunle, you will find points to consider before proceeding to the marriage altar and down-to-earth practical questions to ask yourself before saying, I do.
Welcome back. We're talking about the trunk now. Remember, I said we can remember these 9 principles by understanding what is at the roots, what's at the trunk, and what is at the fruits. What are the fruits? At the root, we spoke about the 3 principles or the 3 pillars that form the root principles. We said purpose, we said identity, and we said rules. Now we're talking about the trunk today, and we said the 4 pillars. 3 form the root, 4 pillars form the trunk. The 4 pillars that form the trunk: the language, how you communicate; role, responsibility, and duration. And we're looking at the life of Daniel, that because Daniel understood these things, he was able to thrive in Babylon under every king that he served under, because he understood them. Now let's bring it closer to our own life now. When you're in a relationship, do you understand the language? Can you talk together? Can you communicate together? Can you relate together? If you're already having struggles in your communication, if you don't understand yourself, then you know you shouldn't go far. When we were talking about language earlier, we said the children of Babel, when they were building the Tower of Babel, their purpose was good. The purpose was clear. God didn't scatter their purpose. He simply confused their language. He discorded their language. If you are having communication problem, you cannot understand yourself, you know that 2 things will happen. Either you learn to harmonize your communication, or you just go your separate ways. So the question is this: in relating with the people you are relating with, or the person you're relating with, how's your communication? Can you talk without problems for 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 1 hour, and all that? Do you understand yourselves? Are you clear on your roles? When you sit down, when the person discuss roles and all that, are you comfortable with the role they've given you? Are you comfortable with the role the person is taking? And with the role comes the responsibilities. Are you comfortable? Are you capable of standing up to the responsibility you are given? Is the person that you're relating with, is the person living up to his own responsibilities too? And the final one, the duration, the time. Are you alive to the time? Are you able to commit that time? A couple of months ago, I was joining a group, and there was a certain role that was available, and I thought I could begin. They had somehow co-opted me into this group and all that, and I felt that, okay, can I take this role? But by the time I looked at the things I was doing and all that, and a couple of other things, I knew that based on, now the role wasn't the problem, in fact the role was good, but by the time I considered the responsibility that went with that role, I knew I could not take it up. So the same thing too, when you understand this strong principle. Now, if I had taken up that role, I wouldn't have been able to accomplish the responsibilities, then I would have messed up myself in that place. So the same thing too, when you are, and that's why I said, the moment I sat down, you can simply apply these things. I knew that, oh, I cannot fulfill. Now, once I can't fulfill that responsibility, that whole track fails. Why? Responsibility is a major part of that thing. Once I knew I could not live up to the responsibility, there was no reason at all going to that thing. So I was just in that group. I sit down as someone that takes as just an observer. I'm not doing anything serious in there. So the same thing too, in any relationship, particularly a relationship that you want to invest your life into. What are those things? How clear are you on those things? Can you communicate clearly? Is your communication okay? Is your language okay? The role you are filling, is it clear? The responsibilities that come with that role, are you okay with it? And finally, can you give the time demand? If you cannot, then there's no point. You might think, oh, I just feel and all that. Sometimes we say these things, and what we get involved in is that we create trouble for ourselves. If you want to succeed in relationship, Mark your mind with this. Even if the route is okay, you are okay with the route. Now this group they come into, I was very okay with the route. But as I was going forward, I found that I could not commit this, and there's no point. I will not get the fruit out of it. So I just stayed. So in going forward, please and please and please understand that relationships are supposed to bring joy to your life. If you find out that there's a problem with the trunk, be careful. I'm not saying rush into it. I'm not saying throw it away. See how you can adjust it. If you find a way you can adjust it, then get involved. If you cannot adjust it, just let it be. God, who knows you, will give you another opportunity and give you a relationship where you can add value and that can add value to you. Thank you for joining us on today's episode of Relationship and Life. Please don't forget, we'll conclude this tomorrow and we'll see how it works in our life. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day.
I'm back, bigger and better. In a world full of pressures on all sides, many people experience some form of setback at some point or the other in life. While some setbacks can easily be overcome, many others can knock the best of men out of the game of life and bring them to a place where they never have the courage to get back up and fulfill their dreams and aspirations. In this book, I'm Bigger and Better by Adeniyi Adekunle, learn scriptural strategies that will help you turn setbacks into comebacks, help you rise every time you fall, and help you fulfill your dreams and aspirations.